Hey everyone, I hope that you're doing well. I miss seeing all of you. You guys did a great job on the projects and all of the work that we've done so far. We're going to change it up a little bit. I'm taking a note out of Ms. Baker's playbook. I know that if everything is streamlined in one place, it makes it easier for you guys. So that's what I'm trying to do. So just be patient with me. This is an evolving process. You guys are learning. I'm still learning. So we're going to figure this out together. I'm going to go ahead and give you some notes on the human impact. You can go ahead and leave this running and you can kind of answer the questions that are below. Your assignment this week has 3 parts. It has this part where you're answering questions. There is an assignment on USA test prep for you to complete. And then there is a third assignment, which is going to be part of your summative assessment. And summative assessment means that instead of giving you guys a test, and instead of giving you guys another project, every week you're going to have a little piece of a summative assessment, and then I'm going to average them together to be a test grade. Because I know that everyone's throwing a lot of projects at you. You're probably a little tired of them. So I wanted to give you something a little bit different. So we're going to do what's worth a quarter of an exam every week for 4 weeks. And then at the end, I'll average them together, and that will be your test grade. So 3 pieces. This piece, answer questions. Second piece is USA test prep. Third piece is an article that you're going to answer questions, and that's also going to be on Google Forms. All right, let's get started. So human impact. How can humans maintain a sustainable ecosystem? And so this is like the overarching question of this section. What can we do to take care of the world that we live in? But 2 vocabulary words that are important. Sustainability. That's a balance between Earth's resources, human needs, and the needs of other species. So Earth is full of resources like fossil fuels and the atmosphere and water and land and all of that good stuff. And so we as humans need some of that. But there are also a lot of other species on the earth that we need to share that with. And so that balance all together, maintaining that balance is sustainability. A carbon footprint. You may have heard this word before. So an ecological carbon footprint is the amount of carbon emitted and its environmental impact. There are a lot of really cool websites available online, and when you guys take environmental next year, we'll play some more with that, where you can calculate your carbon footprint. If you're interested, I can post one of those links. But your carbon footprint is basically what is your impact, what is your environmental impact based on the amount of carbon you're emitting. All right, types of resources. There are renewable resources. Those are resources that are produced or replenished more quickly than they are consumed. So basically, these are things that we are not going to run out of anytime soon. So oxygen, wood, water for now, and I say that way for a reason you'll see in a second. Sunlight and wind. It doesn't look like we're going to run out of wind anytime soon. The sun is relatively stable. It's not going anywhere in our lifetime, and so these are renewable resources. Non-renewable resources are things that we are using more quickly than they are created. So basically things that take a long time to create. Examples of that would be fossil fuels like coal and oil. Metal takes a while to make. Well, metal is actually elemental, so it's around, but to process it in the form that we use takes a while. Plastic is a non-renewable resource. So typically we're using plastic more quickly than we can make it. So anyway, renewable and non-renewable. And so things can fluctuate between these two. An example of that is water. Right now, water is a renewable resource. We have plenty of it. We're not looking to run out of it anytime soon. But if we start polluting water at a rate that is faster than we can clean that water to be available, it could become a problem. And then we could consider water as a non-renewable resource. So things this is in the present day, oxygen, wood, water, sunlight are renewable. Fossil fuels, metal, and plastic are non-renewable, but understand that there can be some fluctuation between the categories. All right, technology's effect on sustainability. Technology can be something wonderful, and it can be also something that has some cons. So it both contributes to air, water, and land pollution, and at the same time provides cleaner energy, waste management, and pollution cleanup. So kind of a double-edged sword. There are 3 main types of technology that influence sustainability. The first one is agricultural technology. If you take ag with Ms. Huberty, if you were lucky enough to do so, she's probably talked to you about some of this, and so this will be largely a review. The goal of agricultural technology is to increase food productivity. So to grow the food that we eat, process that food, and to get it on our shelves and ultimately in our mouths and bellies as quickly as possible. So there's a lot of pros to agricultural technology, a lot of good things that it's brought us. It's brought us something called contour farming. And so I don't know if you can see my mouse moving or not, but contour farming, and it looks really cool from an aerial view, is something that, excuse me, is a development that is to help us protect the land so that we can use it over and over again. So it helps in water runoff and the redistribution of nutrients. And so it's a technology that's fairly new, that helps us be able to not burn out the land when we're growing crops. Fertilizers is something that we have designed to help us grow the biggest and tastiest and most nutritious vegetables. And so that's a pro. Farm machinery. So way back in the day, when you see movies about old time farming, usually it's plows that are like pulled by mules or even pushed by hand. And so now, in the century that we're living in, we have a lot of farm machinery. So you drive by fields, especially around the school, and you see the big machines that are watering and the machines that are seeding the fields, and all of these machines have special names that I don't know, and maybe some of you do. But so basically, this is machinery that we didn't already have. This is an example of agricultural technology. Unfortunately, there are also cons. So we talked about how fertilizers, while they grow our food big and strong and delicious and colorful, it also releases excess nitrogen into the soil, which isn't great. Farm machinery, unfortunately, runs on fossil fuels. So just like cars, it burns gasoline or sometimes diesel, and that creates pollutants that are released into the atmosphere. So as you can see, technology can be a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Industrial technology. So the goal of industrial technology is to increase manufacturing efficiency, transportation, and communication. We want to talk to each other more quickly and easily. We want to manufacture the things that we need more easily and get them into stores quicker. And we want to get around faster, transportation. So the pros of this: we can talk more quickly. We are able to get around faster. We have things like cars and trains and planes and all of those good things. Industry is cheaper. It's much cheaper for us to make a t-shirt than it was 100 years ago. And Walmart, they make, or whatever company feeds Walmart makes 100 t-shirts in the time that it probably took us to sew one individually 50 years ago or 100 years ago. So there are pros of industrial technology. Unfortunately, there are also cons. You'll see a theme developing. The creation of CFCs. This is chlorofluorohydrocarbons. That's a very tricky word to say. And that comes primarily from foam packing material and refrigerant. So foam packing material. Thankfully, you don't see this quite as much anymore. So if you buy something from Amazon or from another online retailer, typically they have more environmentally friendly. You see like kind of the big puffy plastic bags, or maybe some kind of other packing material like bubble wrap. Back in the day when you used to get a box and you would open it, it would be full of foam peanuts. And these foam peanuts release CFCs, and that's not good. Refrigerant. So we're talking about refrigerant. Some of you may have in your home, or somebody that you know, or you've seen the commercials on TV for meal delivery services like HelloFresh and Blue Apron and all that good stuff. Those meal services are really cool, but unfortunately, because they have fresh ingredients, the manufacturer or the company has to figure out some way to keep that cold. And so usually they'll send them with like cold packets that are packed into the box. Those cold packets contain refrigerants that contain CFCs. So not a terribly great thing. CFCs are important because they deplete our ozone layer. Our ozone layer is like a protective covering over us, helping us hold just the right amount of sunlight and greenhouse gases, which we will talk a little bit more about in a moment. So our ozone layer is really important, and we don't want to deplete it. Burning of fossil fuels, so burning coal and oil and gas and all those other things, increases greenhouse gases and produces acid rain. And we'll talk more about greenhouse gases in a second. Acid rain is bad because it lowers soil pH, so it makes the soil more acidic. Plants are very fussy. Each kind of plant likes a specific kind of soil, whether it be acidic or less acidic. And so if you're getting acid rain in a place where you have plants that don't like acid, not great. It leaches soil of its nutrients, and it changes the aquatic pH. And so therefore, when acid rain is pooling into ponds and rivers where fish and other organisms live, they're not able, again, just like us, they're designed to live in a certain pH range. And once you get out of that range, they're no longer able to survive. So therefore, that's not good. Okay, alternative energy technology. I'm going to try to speed up a little bit because I promised myself I'd keep this under 10 minutes, and we're almost there. So the goal is to provide clean energy to power society without negatively influencing the atmosphere. The pros: it decreases the burning of fossil fuel. So things like wind energy, you don't need to burn fossil fuel, and solar panels, which my face is kind of blocking this picture here. They use renewable resources such as sunlight, wind, water, and nuclear. And nuclear is kind of a double-edged sword. The cons: it is really expensive to build these things. Solar panels are really expensive. Wind turbines are very expensive. A con of nuclear energy in particular is that it creates radioactive waste. That's a whole other host of problems that you'll learn about in physical science, but it's not terribly good for the environment or for people living around it. The other fun fact that people do not realize, so people talk about coal mining as, you know, we're burning, it's not good and we need to stop doing it. Well, fun fact, coal actually goes into steel, and we need that steel to go into solar panels. So to say we're going to get rid of coal mining so that we can use solar energy is actually kind of funny, because we actually need the coal to build the product that's going to get the solar energy. So anyway, that's something that a lot of people don't know. And so when people say, oh, why don't we just go to clean energy and it would be so easy, it's really not that easy. Okay, and the greenhouse effect, the last thing that we'll talk about today. So the greenhouse effect, you may hear some people say, oh, that's not real. It is real. This is not a debate. The greenhouse effect is a fact. And the reason that you and I and all of the other organisms are able to live on Earth, and why it's such a great place to live as opposed to another planet like Mars or Jupiter, is that the atmosphere is very favorable for life, and it's because of the greenhouse effect. This is the normal warming effect when gases trap heat in the atmosphere. Greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, oxygen, methane, which you may see abbreviated CH4, that's its chemical formula, and water vapor. These trap heat energy and maintain Earth's temperature range. So the atmosphere beyond Earth is really cold. We would die in a heartbeat if we didn't have the greenhouse gases to trap the heat energy from the sun and keep us warm. So it prevents heat from escaping to the atmosphere, so it stays trapped where it belongs. Oops. Well, we're just going to move on. Okay, so global warming is something that you hear tied into the greenhouse effect, but these two things are distinctly different. So CFCs deplete the ozone layer, allowing more of the sun's UV rays to get in. So the sunshine reaches the Earth, but there's like a very specific amount of sunshine we want to reach the Earth. If there are too many holes in the ozone layer and allow too much sun in, we won't be able to survive, because we can only tolerate a certain level of UV exposure. The big problem of this is through burning of fossil fuels. So CFCs are a little part of the picture. Fossil fuels are the bigger part. And combustion, we talked about how burning, we love to burn things, and that's releasing a lot of extra carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. This causes an increase in greenhouse gases and therefore an increase in the Earth's overall temperature. But wait a second, Ms. Warren, you just said that the greenhouse gases were really important. They are, but only to a certain extent. We do not need too many greenhouse gases or we're going to get too warm. So if you think about in the summertime, when the weather starts to get warmer and the temperature in your house while you're sleeping at night is slightly warmer, typically you would take your winter blanket off of the bed and you put a summer blanket on. Well, you know, so therefore the warmth that the blanket provides is a good thing, but you don't want too much warmth. And so you can kind of think of greenhouse gases like a blanket. You want the correct amount of blanket for the amount of warmth that you want. If it's 90 degrees out and you're camping and you have 18 blankets on top of you, you're going to get too warm. And it doesn't mean that the blankets are a bad thing in the appropriate context. It just means that that's too much blanket for the situation. And that's how I usually try to explain greenhouse gases. So that's our lecture on human impact. Go ahead and answer the questions below. Then your second piece of the assignment is USA Test Prep. And the third part is the article that you're going to read and answer questions. If you have any questions about this, I'm going to leave a spot on the form for you to ask them, and I will address them in next week's video. Have a great week, guys, and I will see you soon.